The morning light in Seoul felt dimmer than usual, as if the sun itself had chosen to rise a little slower. A quiet sorrow settled across the country, drifting through television screens, across social feeds, and into the hearts of millions. It was the kind of grief that did not need words. Korea had lost one of its most beloved fathers, mentors, and national treasures. Lee Soon-jae, born in 1934, a man who shaped the foundation of Korean entertainment, passed away in 2025 at the age of 91. His departure was not simply the loss of an actor. It was the end of an era that defined the soul of Korean storytelling. Hello fans, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the post notification to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Lee Soon-jae was a name that carried weight. A presence that commanded respect. His craft was deeply rooted in discipline, sincerity, and a lifelong devotion to the art of acting. For more than 6 decades, he appeared on screens both big and small, shaping the landscape of Korean dramas, sitcoms, and films. To many, he was Korea's television dad, a figure whose warmth, wisdom, and charisma brought comfort to homes across the nation. To others, he was a teacher, a mentor, the kind of senior who planted seeds of guidance in every young actor he met. And to the country, he was a cultural pillar who helped build the identity of Korean entertainment long before it reached the global stage. When news of his passing broke on November 24, 2025, time seemed to momentarily pause. The entire entertainment industry fell silent. Television networks switched to tribute segments. Fans revisited old dramas, rewatching scenes where Lee Soon-jae delivered lines with the kind of depth that only decades of life could produce. Social platforms flooded with memories, photographs, interviews, and heartfelt messages. His influence had crossed generations, reaching those who watched him as children, those who studied him in acting classes, and those who admired him from afar. As the funeral hall opened, people began to gather in solemn lines. The room filled with white chrysanthemums, muffled footsteps, and quiet sobs. A portrait of Lee Soon-jae stood at the front, capturing his gentle smile and the warmth that defined his presence. One by one, the pillars of Korean entertainment arrived, each carrying their own memories of him. The atmosphere was heavy, but it was also filled with gratitude. The first among the well-known names to pay respects was Yo Yun-suk. His steps were slow, steady, and filled with emotion. Yo Yun-suk had studied under Lee Soon-jae at Sejong University, learning not only the mechanics of acting but the soul of storytelling. He often credited Lee Soon-jae as one of the mentors who shaped him. Standing before the portrait, Yo Yun-suk bowed deeply, holding in his heart the lessons he received from a master whose influence would guide him forever. Jong Bo-suk soon entered the hall, his expression heavy with grief. He had co-starred with Lee Soon-jae in the beloved sitcom High Kick Through the Roof, where viewers fell in love with their natural chemistry and heartwarming interactions. Behind the scenes, Jong Bo-suk always described Lee Soon-jae as a life mentor, someone who taught him how to carry himself not just as an actor but as a human being. His bow at the altar was filled with the silence of memories, respect, and deep admiration. Then came Bae Jung-nam, looking visibly emotional. He had appeared in Lee Soon-jae's final work, Dog Knows Everything, and had often said that sharing the screen with such a legend was the greatest honor of his career. At the funeral, he lingered longer than most, his eyes fixed on the portrait, as if wanting to hold onto the memory of their brief but meaningful connection for just a little longer. Park Kyung-lim stepped into the hall next, her typical bright energy replaced with quiet sorrow. She held Lee Soon-jae in high regard, often calling him a role model who inspired her through actions rather than words. His humility, patience, and respect for others always stood out to her. She bowed slowly, honoring the example he set for the entire industry. Shortly after, Baek Illinois Seob arrived. Both veterans, both legends, the two had built countless memories together. They worked side by side on the hit variety show Grandpa's Over Flowers, giving viewers unforgettable moments of laughter, friendship, and wisdom. Baek Illinois Seob's grief was deeply palpable. He stood still in front of the portrait for a long moment, remembering the man who had been like a brother to him, someone who walked alongside him through decades of artistry. Younger actor Choi Hyun-wook also attended the funeral, despite having never worked with Lee Soon-jae directly. His presence symbolized the bridge between generations. Even without personal experience, Lee Soon-jae's legacy had touched him. He was one of the countless young actors who admired the legend from afar, learning from his performances, interviews, and reputation. Beyond actors, public figures arrived to pay their respects. President Lee Jae-myung expressed deep condolences for the loss of a cultural giant, acknowledging the monumental contributions Lee Soon-jae made to Korea's artistic identity. His message recognized not only the actor's work but the indelible mark he left on the soul of the nation. Na Young-suk, one of Korea's most beloved producers, also came to the funeral hall. He had worked with Lee Soon-jae on Grandpa's Over Flowers and always spoke highly of him. To him, Lee Soon-jae was more than a cast member. He was a natural storyteller, someone who carried warmth and genuine humor wherever he went. At the funeral, Na Young-suk stood quietly in respect, honoring a man who brought depth and authenticity to every moment. As tributes spread across media outlets, the world remembered Lee Soon-jae's countless contributions. Forbes Korea highlighted his timeless influence. The BBC referred to him as South Korea's TV dad. The Korea Herald reported the overwhelming outpouring of grief from fans and celebrities alike. Every publication echoed the same sentiment: Korea had lost a father figure, a mentor, and a legend. Throughout the country, theaters displayed his image. Television channels replayed his most iconic works. Fans lit candles, wrote letters, and shared stories of the comfort and joy he had brought into their lives. Many recalled how his performances had guided them through difficult times, offering wisdom through the characters he portrayed. Friends and colleagues shared behind-the-scenes stories of his warmth, humor, and kindness. Younger actors spoke about how he treated them with fatherly gentleness, always encouraging them to pursue growth. Industry veterans described him as a pillar of stability, someone who carried decades of history with dignity. The funeral hall continued to fill across the following days. Even people who had never met him personally felt drawn to pay respects. For many, he had been a part of their households for decades. His dramas had played during family dinners. His interviews had brought comfort to the elderly. His laughter had echoed through living rooms. He was woven into the fabric of Korean life. As the ceremony progressed, the sorrow was heavy, but it was also accompanied by an undeniable sense of appreciation. Those who mourned knew they were honoring a man who devoted more than half a century to enriching Korean culture. His legacy was not only in the roles he played but in the hearts he touched, the students he guided, and the memories he gifted to the nation. In the final moments of the ceremony, a deep silence filled the room. It was a silence that carried the weight of gratitude, love, and respect. A silence that acknowledged the end of a life but also the beginning of a legacy that would echo for generations beyond. Lee Soon-jae's departure marked the closing of a monumental chapter, but his impact will continue to breathe through every performance, every young actor he inspired, and every viewer who found comfort in his work. He may have left the stage, but his presence remains eternal. Thank you for tuning in to K-Drama Bloom.